Welcome back. During a particularly tough time, the former governor of Oklahoma, David Walters, used to joke that he would have to roll around his morning newspaper with a stick before he opened it, or even dunk it in water. Well, maybe you feel the same way watching the turmoil in America today, no matter which side you supported during the election. It's made for some difficult conversations with children, for parents, and it no doubt sets the stage for some rather testy family get-togethers this Thanksgiving. Let's talk about it this morning with Dr. Gerald Shiner, professor of psychiatry at Wayne State, Dr. Donna Rockwell, clinical psychologist, and Cynthia Reynolds, a clinical social worker with First Family Counseling. Thank you all very much for being here. Happy Thanksgiving a little early. Dr. Shiner, let me start with you, because just before we started, you were talking about Thanksgiving can provide this perfect cocktail for turmoil.
Of course, too much food, alcohol, and very strong opinions very far apart. So that's familiarity breeds contempt and a recipe for disaster. People will speak out about what they think and what they thought about the election, who should have won, what they think of who did win. And again, the opinions are so far apart that we're going to see a lot of conflict and emotions are going to rise.
There's no fight like a family fight.
Exactly.
Donna, just watching the way that friendships have fallen apart. In fact, we tried to get the data from Facebook. They wouldn't tell us how many people had unfriended anybody over the last week. But this has really been impactful in really unexpected ways.
It is. I think it's kind of frightening to a lot of people, because people they thought they knew have opinions that are abhorrent to them. So they're trying to figure out, where do I place all of this? But I think one thing that might be helpful is if people just stay curious. Like, I wonder why, rather than already coming with a judgment. So just to maintain an air of curiosity as you go to the dinner table that night.
That's a good, I like that thought, because we are all only really experts in our own experiences, so I always say.
Well, haven't you found it's asking the other person and listening rather than telling what you think is the art of conversation and the art of getting along?
So actually it is an opportunity.
Yeah. Cynthia, what are you seeing as we watch all this play out?
I'm seeing the same thing. It is an opportunity for us to have dialogue, but also to remember that we had a life before the election.
Did we? When was that?
Yeah, we did. You know, what else can we talk about when we have this limited time with our family and friends?
It might not be the best use of time to just go down dead-end roads.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you expecting more calls and more, I guess, more things to have to deal with over this next week than normal for you?
Not more calls per se, because I think people are afraid to talk. A lot of times people avoid what they don't want to face, so not really a lot of calls.
Is it, and now we'll just throw this open to anybody, the old rule was, don't talk politics or religion. Is that a fair rule to make? We're just not going to talk politics at the table this year? Or is that setting yourself up for?
It's generally a good rule when you're meeting people that for the first time, or people you don't know well. When you're with people you know and you're comfortable, these things do emerge. And we have to remember that political opinions are based on feelings. They have nothing to do with who is divorced and who pays their bills and who opens their emails and does certain things. It's all about feelings and who strikes you and who brings up certain emotions in you.
I think it's important too, though. You can go into the meal and say, we're all together, we have 2 hours, we love each other, let's not talk politics. Let's talk about Johnny in school or what Sally's doing at college, and make an agreement to do that.
I think that's, to Cynthia's point, there is a lot, there are other things. We did have a life before that. And I want to point out, this was a conversation that I was fairly certain I was going to have to host, no matter who won, because the bitterness that we saw break out over this, Cynthia, is really unlike anything that most of us have seen, the polarization. And that's why I worry about where we go from here forward, not just this week, but how do we begin to come back together?
Well, we have to remember that we're on uncharted territory. It's not just the politics and religion, but race as well. And it opened up a can of worms for all of those decisions and all of those discussions at the same time. So it's like we brought our big bang out at the same time, so where do we go from here? But the good thing is it opened up the dialogue. So that people, well, it did. It opened up the dialogue. We just have to remember to be respectful and to more, we were saying earlier, and listen. Listen more so than talking. You already know what your opinion is, but sometimes you need to listen to the other point of view.
And never has the dialogue been so openly about race, about sexism, about morality, about rich versus poor. So these things are more out in the open. I think she's right.
And it's also true, they've been there all along. This just shined the light on it.
It does, but it also shined maybe a more intense light on the fact that we are intractable on some of these things. I talked to a Hillary supporter this past week who has no interest in sort of us all coming together. She said, no, I'm going to stay mad for the next 4 years. That may not be the...
People are hurt, Devin.
Yeah.
They're hurt to the core. They're hurt because some of the beliefs, a lot of the beliefs, core beliefs that we had about our country were shattered. You know, you don't tease people with disabilities. You don't make racial comments. You don't, you know, separate people.
Well, the campaign has never been so vulgar and has never been so crass before.
Yes.
Which takes me to, what do we tell our kids about what they're watching? They're seeing the videos. We had of course, sadly, famously in Royal Oak, kids in a middle school yelling, "Build that wall." We've watched people breaking into physical violence. How do we explain this to our kids?
I think the most important teachers are at home. So it's an opportunity for us to pass our values down to our children, and we can use all of these examples in the media to teach them, to say, this is what mom and dad think would be a better way to do it.
And we have to let kids know that people say things in anger that they don't necessarily mean. And that when emotions are high, people take an extreme position, they blurt things out, and if any little kid has said to a brother or sister or parent, I hate you, they mean that for the moment, but that's not who they are.
But I do think we need to have a sensitivity of how vulnerable everyone is now, how many people have been hurt, and to really heighten our sensitivity to one another.
And self-responsibility. Remind our kids that they're responsible for themselves.
Yeah, but and this rawness, though, you expect that subsides with a little bit of time here, or does every story from here on out? I think over the last week, as we've watched some people who were Hillary supporters become more upset as they've watched some of the transition decisions being made, I'm not sure I guess how do we come to terms with not getting our way is what this ends up being about, the question.
I think it's a matter of time. With time, you know, things can change, but it depends on the way it goes. You know, if things continue to go the way they are, you know, in a negative, in what people perceive to be in a negative way, then we'll get one response. If they see that, you know, that you're going to be the president for the people, and you're going to do some positive things, and then, you know, people can deal with that.
Well, that's growing up, learning to live with things that not having our way, and learning how to deal with frustration. But hopefully there'll be a return of civility. Right. And I think that's very important. I think the media and the journalists can show us an example, personally in the home, the example of we don't talk that way here, we don't speak that way, we don't use that kind of language, we don't call other people names. And the most disturbing thing to me about the campaign is we had two very talented, exceptional people just pointing fingers at each other and saying bad things about each other instead of talking about the issue. The
behavior that was modeled is a little tough. Don, I'll let you have the last word, though, as far as thinking about this from how to find it in yourself. This is, I think, your specialty. Finding yourself to sort of find reason to get up in the morning and see sunshine.
Well, you know, it looks cloudy and the plane takes off, cuts through the clouds, and it's always sunny up there. So it's always sunny everywhere, not just in Philadelphia.
Okay, thank you all very much, and happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for the conversation.